Welcome to another episode of Conversations in Music. I'm your host, Wes Byrd, and our guest today is a dual threat. He can blow you away on the saxophone and win you over with his super smooth vocals. He's a native of Los Angeles, California, but now lives in the windy city of Chicago. His style, R&B, soul, jazz, and hip hop. He can do it all. I'm talking about my friend, my brother, Mr. Marqueal Jordan. Welcome to the conversation. Well, what's up, boy?
What's up, Wes? How you doing, man?
I'm good, bro.
Man, it's always a blast to see you and to be here, man.
Absolutely, bro.
That's what's
Absolutely. How you feeling, man?
I feel great, dude.
Just got through blowing your brains out on the stage, man. You sang in your heart. I heard you was in the Raptors. You was in the Valley.
It's a good night tonight, man. I was singing. I did my good singing tonight.
You did.
You did some good playing tonight too, man.
You
But
did,
see,
man.
it's because of you and all the brothers that was on stage, man. It was inspiring, and it was good to be back here.
Cool, man. Cool. Well, we're glad to have you in the house, man.
Absolutely.
Well, let's take a little journey back to your roots, man. You grew up in LA.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your upbringing in LA and the scene there, and how you kind of got the music in you.
Man, that's just all really my parents. I grew up child of the 70s, like a baby of the 70s, and my father's a frustrated musician, really. You know, he worked at General Motors for forever, but you know, he really wanted to be a percussionist and kind of follow after his father, he was a drummer and a flamenco dancer. Imagine that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So and I was like the kid that always wanted to hang out with my parents. I didn't really want to hang out with kids my age. I was like, they seemed cool to me. You know, my pops had like a 4-door black on black Fleetwood Eldorado joint, 1972. So I used to ride on the arm seat. You know, that was back in the days when you didn't have to have those child seats and all of that crazy stuff. Yeah. I could have went straight through the windshield, bro.
What you did?
No, man, but it was like just music around the house all the time, you know, and I just soaked it all in, and he played everything, man. It was like I could hear anything between Johnny Mathis and John Coltrane growing up.
Wow.
So that was really like the seed, and that was the seed that grew. And then my uncle is a soprano saxophonist and a flautist, and he used to play with this avant-garde big band, Horace Tapscott, back in the days. And he actually used to be married to Marla Gibbs from the Jeffersons. Word. So they used to give concerts like at this church in Watts. And I used to go check that out as a kid. Yeah. And you know, by the time I was like 6 or 7 years old, I knew I wanted to play tenor saxophone. But I played clarinet for like 4 years in school until I got to junior high school, and then I started playing tenor saxophone.
Gotcha.
Yeah, man. So that's the foundation for real.
Gotcha. Yeah. So did you study music in college?
I didn't study it in college. I was in a jazz band. I took private lessons from a saxophone professor. I went to the University of Kansas, and I was and then I played in a band around town, like a bar band, and that's really where I basically learned how to play on those stages. Yeah,
me too.
You know,
me too. I went to school in Birmingham, and the same thing. I hit the Chitlin Circuit hard, man.
Yeah,
and, you know, I learned everything there. You know what I mean? It was a great training ground. So I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
So you did something that's opposite of a lot of people. A lot of people are trying to move to LA.
Right.
You left LA and went to Chi-Town. Tell me how that happened and how has that experience been? And what do you see the difference in the two scenes, man?
Well, there's a stop in between. So really I left LA because my dad's job took him to Kansas City, Kansas. Okay. Like in the mid 80s, you know. Gotcha. So I went to high school there, and then I just went to college in state. And so from there I graduated, and you know, I was getting good, but not really. I didn't feel confident in my abilities at that point. And I was dating a woman at the time, and we mutually agreed, for whatever inexplicable, crazy, stupid reason, to move to Chicago. Wow. We knew 2 people there. Wow. But the 2 people that we knew were the 2 people I was in a bar band with. So for me, it made sense. I was like, I'll just hook up with my man Scotty. We can do some music. And that's what happened. So I moved there and really I moved there like 24. I was on the 6-year plan to college.
Mm-hmm.
So
Wow.
I majored in confusion, bro. I should have majored in music, really. But I was thinking, get something to fall back on, you know, be practical.
Right.
And my parents never really was on that. It was my decision, you know.
Wow.
So, but that's where it really started coming together. Like, I would say the difference between LA and Chicago is like the LA scene, I think you got to be ready.
Yeah.
You know, you got to hit the ground running.
For sure.
You got to know what you want to do, how you want to do it, and your abilities, stage presence, and all that stuff, networking, all of those things have to be in place.
Correct.
I was greener than green. And what Chicago offered me was an opportunity to grow into myself, an opportunity to, you know, really become a musician, become a professional, learn a lot, you know, and it's just so much soul there.
Yeah.
Like in all the music, and it was so much music there, blues, rock, indie rock, jazz, R&B. Like, man, Chicago is the city. I have to say that. Yeah. Like, I'm an LA kid because I grew up there.
Right.
But I spent most of my adult life in Chicago.
Midwest, yeah.
And it's a difference. Like, you can tell right away when you hear cats from there. Like, it's something in that soil.
A sound. Yeah.
It's a sound.
Yeah, a lot of different places have a sound. You know, since I've been touring and had an opportunity, you get to Detroit, there's a sound there.
Yep.
You get to DC, there's a sound there. When
Definitely.
you get to New Orleans, there's a sound there. You know what I mean?
Right.
Atlanta has a sound. You know, a lot of different places have a sound, so I know exactly what you mean when you say that, man.
Yeah.
And I've gotten to know a lot of the Chicago cats. You know, a lot of the homies up there, and when I hear them, it's different. It's good.
Right.
And it's something you can't deny, for sure.
Exactly.
For sure. So yeah, man. Which, you know, what's the same when I met you? It was like, this cat got something different. You know what I mean? I didn't know the ties. I didn't know the ties to LA at first, you know. So I met you when you were already in Chicago. Right. But I can feel that same soul, that Midwest soul, you know what I mean, that comes from that area. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So you're a multi-instrumentalist,
yeah,
as well as a vocalist.
Right.
And you sing for real, not just like, you know, backgrounds and stuff like that. I mean, you can carry your show. You know what I mean? Right. Tell me how you kind of learned to master being in front, you know, making that transition to in front and embracing it and really doing your thing out there, man.
3 words: Chicago, and my man Scott left. So when because we wound up moving to Chicago within 6 months of each other. He was there before me, and then I was like, yo, I'm gonna be moving up there. He's like, cool, we can start a band. And the whole vibe was, we're gonna start a band, but we're not gonna hire any singers. And you sing better than I do, so you gotta sing. Wow. I was like, I don't wanna sing, man. Forget that. I don't wanna do that. Like, I wanted to play. At that time, I was really on my Branford Marcellus vibe. That's like where I really saw myself being. But I always knew I had a good ear and could pick up stuff and was a good mimic. But I never really took that seriously because I always thought like, man, I don't sound like Stokely. Like Stokely can just get up and sing. Stokely from Mint Condition. Like, that's a real singer. I'm not that guy, you know, so I never took it seriously. But then once I got on stage, I realized I had a gift. Yeah. And then I just needed to be comfortable standing on the mic, standing in front of the stage with a mic in my hand, looking out at people and being fearless and not worrying about making a mistake, not worrying about doing something, you know. And then that's when it all developed, like through the late 90s, from like 95 to like 2000, I would say, is when I was really starting to get my chops together singing. So by the time I got to like 2000, I felt comfortable on stage. And then it's just seasoning from there and there, from then on. So that's how that happened, man. But like, nah, man, I would sing along with stuff, but I just wouldn't take it seriously when I was a kid.
I got you. So let's transition to in the studio, man. I play with you. I've played with you, rather, a number of times, man. And every time we play your music, it's just something that feels good to me as far as your writing. So tell me about your process when you go into the studio and you're getting ready to cut a new album. Tell us about Marqueal, the songwriter, the producer. Who is that guy?
You know, it's funny, man. I'm still trying to figure that part of it out.
I think we all are.
Yeah. You know, I've got some really good collaborators who, you know, like there's songs that I've written from the top to the bottom, you know, bass line, drums, whatever, chord changes and all that stuff. I kind of did that actually before I became a recording solo artist. I was doing that in the the situation I was in with my man Scott that I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
But you know, I wanted to go to people that really knew the sound and that had music that I really could get into. One important piece of the puzzle is this brother who actually shares my birthday, DJ INC, hip hop producer and programmer and all this stuff. We've worked together since like 1999, and that's really how I learned how to approach writing, like as far as melodies on the saxophone and trying to come up with stuff that sticks, that's memorable, that feels good inside.
Right.
So on his projects, he would be like, "All right, man, just go in there and play." It's like, "What do you want me to play?" Whatever you feel.
Yeah.
You know. And then those first records was just kind of, I was all over the place. But then the more I did it, the more I was like, okay, this is what this song needs, and I got to do it this way and do it that way. And then thinking more about song structure and melodies and things that people can kind of, their ears can catch on to.
Yeah.
So I took that into working with somebody like Chris Big Dog Davis or Frank McComb, you know, people like that. So that was the approach. And then since they had a certain level of harmonic experience and writing that DJ INC didn't necessarily have, it made me step my game up even more, you know. So I'm just, basically what I really want to do now is just write stuff that I feel.
Yeah.
Like if it doesn't feel good to me, then I don't want to do it, or I don't like it, or I'm not gonna put it out.
Yeah.
So that's really kind of where my head is at this point.
Yeah. I have this conversation when I'm producing different artists, whatever. I always say to them, when they're trying to figure out their own sound and which way they want to go, because you know, radio right now is a format. A lot of things is a box, you know, like fit this box and then you can get on the radio. But I tell people, I say 100 years from now, somebody sees your name on a CD or whatever the tool is, the time we listen to music on, and they pop that in, they hit play. What's going to come out the speakers as a representation of your name, of your soul,
that's
of
heavy.
where, you know, I mean, so what you just said speaks to me about that same kind of principle. You know what I mean? It's like the times we're in now, music is steadily evolving. You know what I'm saying? It's changing so fast, especially with the technology.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So it's like when somebody pops in Marqueal Jordan, is it really something that you felt and came from your heart, you know, truly?
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think that's super important. I'm glad you're at that place. You know?
Yeah.
I got some names here, man. Isley Brothers, Peebo Bryson, Marcus Miller, Al Jarreau, Jill Scott. All these people have called your name, and you've worked with these people. Give us a moment with any one of these people that you can remember that just like was one of those stamps that, you know, man, I'm really here. You know what I mean?
Jill Scott.
Give it to us.
2013, 10 years ago, Mike Phillips, Jill Scott was doing, I think she was going back to her solo debut CD and then that live record that Mike Phillips was on.
Right.
And Mike was touring at the time. So he hit me up and he was like, "Hey man, I can't do the Chicago date. Can you do it?" And I was like, "Of course."
Right.
Farnell Newton was playing trumpet. They had all the horn parts written out.
Yeah.
You know, so I get there, it's sound check, you know, and it's the Taste of Chicago. So summertime fest, perfect day. Actually, my wife was at that show.
Wow.
I had just met her, and I invited her out to the show. I think she would have been coming anyway because it was Jill Scott. She loves Jill.
Yeah.
So we sound check. Jill's not there. We go through all the music. Everybody's cool. Everybody in the band was pretty cool. So she kind of rolls up. We do the huddle up prayer and go, and we go. So I played a solo, and then it was like she went around and introduced everybody or something, and she was like, "I haven't met this brother before. What is your name?" On some Don Cornelius Hand Me the Mic joint.
Right.
And I was like, I got all cool. My name is Marqueal Jordan. And the crowd was going crazy because it was people in the crowd that actually knew me. A lot of people in the crowd.
Right.
People was hitting me up, sending me pictures. "Oh, I'm so proud of you." People crying because it's Jill, man.
Right.
And I'm sitting there just like, wow, this is crazy. You know, and I think guitar player, man, I'm blanking on his name right now. Sean Hinton. He was like, "Man, they know you up here." I was like, yeah, they
It's
do.
my city. What do you mean?
It's my city. But I didn't, you know, in that moment, I wasn't expecting that kind of response. And then for her to just put like that spotlight on me like that, you know,
right.
Hands down, like in that time, you know, I played with the Isley Brothers, but it's kind of past their time. You know, I played with Marcus. Obviously, he's a legend and a hero of mine. But it's something about Jill, you know.
Yeah.
playing with her, and it was just like, I feel like she's the most prominent artist I've ever played with. And it was just, I did that gig, and I did one that was a complete disaster. I ain't gonna even get into that. Like 3 months later.
Yeah.
But it was just cool, and I just felt stamped, you know. And it
Gotcha.
was right before my solo record was about to come out too.
Nice.
So I was like, oh, this is dope. This
Nice.
is dope.
Nice. So speaking of solo records, you have 3.
Yeah.
Now, working on anything new?
About to get in the studio and at least do a single, but it's time for me to get something else back, some new stuff on the radio, and just some new stuff to the audience and the fans. This third record is really interesting because it was the hardest one to do.
Okay.
But it's the one that I hold dearest to my heart, so it's hard to let go of.
When you say hardest, what was it about it?
First record, I didn't know what I was doing, and I
Mhm.
really was just kind of going off of
your
what
way.
I thought,
Right.
you know, wits and desires of how I wanted it to sound. And then when I put the songs together, they fit well together. So I was like, okay, this is cool. This is gonna work.
Mhm.
Second record, I was thinking too much, I think,
Mhm.
because it was like, okay, that didn't have any radio hits, so I need radio hits and stuff. And it was a really successful record. But then there were some things on the record that I think I tried that I just didn't necessarily like how it came across.
Mhm.
But it's weird. I've gone back to listen to it maybe about a year or so ago. And I was like, okay, it's not as bad as I thought. You know what I'm saying? It's never as bad as you
We
think.
always our worst
And
critics.
it's never as good as you think. It's,
Yeah.
it's somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
But the third record was just hard because it was like, I started working on it during the pandemic and
Mhm.
had to stop.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, we were talking about Kahari Parker earlier.
Yeah.
Like, I really wanted him and my Chicago band to be a prominent part of that record. But when he passed away,
Yeah.
and the pandemic, and George Floyd, and all of those things that was happening, man, I just didn't have any emotion to put into a record.
I feel you.
You know, and it took a minute for me to get my foot, and then I put out that single that was supposed to be like the lead single for the record, which was Last Call. You know, and then radio hated it. I won't say they hated it. Like, people loved the record, but it just didn't do what I wanted it to do.
Right. Right.
And then I just started questioning everything. Like, okay, you could sing, you could play, you can do all these different things in all these different styles. What do you want to do?
Mhm.
Are you trying to be in this format?
Mhm.
Or do you need to do something different that speaks more to this? And it was just really a trip. And then a blessing came in the form of me going back on tour with Brian Culbertson, really, because I was out of the band by then.
Mhm.
And he asked me to come in and sub for Marcus Anderson, but then Marcus wound up doing the tour anyway. So it was the two of us together. And going back out on the road with him, this was like 2021 fall.
Mhm.
I saw fans and I saw friends and I saw a lot of people, and the whole vibe was just like, yo, we love you.
Mhm.
We rock with you.
Yeah.
Whatever you do, we waiting on it. We gonna rock with it.
Right.
And it just gave me that sense of just like, okay, just go in and finish it.
Yeah.
But do it the way you want to do it.
Yeah.
Put the songs on it the way you want to put on it, and like work at it. Don't just like throw a couple of tracks, a couple of takes on, and
Correct.
then leave and go. Like, dig into this music, get the
Mhm.
right melodies, play the right solos, do the
Right.
right stuff,
Right.
really work on it.
Mhm.
And what came out of it was just like this thing. Like, you know, man, sometimes I listen to that record and I tear up because it's just like,
Good.
I can go right back to that moment of just like, man, this was hard, but it was like the effort
Yeah.
that came out of it, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So it's dope. But I got to put that back and be like, all right, we got to do it again.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah. Yeah,
So, and that's the
thing.
hard part.
Yeah, you know, you like people like George Benson and some of these others, man, they got 30, 40 records. It's like, that's a lot of music, man. You know, you being a funnel, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just an instrument, man, to get this music through so the world can hear it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So keep going, bro.
Absolutely,
going.
man. The cats like you, dude, y'all make it easy, man. I'm
Hey,
telling
man, I appreciate it, brother. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. So we're both newlyweds, man.
you.
And we're
Yes.
both fathers.
Right.
As much as you're on the road, man, how do you balance the two worlds?
It's a challenge.
Mhm.
I'm really, really blessed. Even like this, my second marriage. So my first wife even understood it because she actually grew up in Minneapolis. Her mom, rest her soul, started KMOJ, which is the first Black radio station in Minneapolis. Like,
Okay.
so she was deep into that whole scene and that whole vibe. And I didn't know that until I met her. It was just like crazy.
Mhm.
So she understood the music because her father was a jazz drummer as well.
Mhm.
So I was never discouraged from doing this. It was always part of who I am. This is what I'm doing.
Mhm.
And people always encourage me. All the, you know, my first wife and my current wife. So that's been good. I think it was more of a challenge with my child, you know, and then getting divorced and not having my child live with me at home, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
so,
same
you
here.
know, and I think really now that she's older, she's 21 now, she's a senior in college, and she's majoring in film and TV production.
Nice.
And so now she gets it.
Right.
She understands.
Right.
Like, and she was in the Chicago Children's Choir for like 4 years, and they did a tour in Spain. And so that she knows about sound checks and warming up and performing.
Yes.
And like,
Yes.
so she understands my world probably more than anybody else. We've never talked about it. I'm looking forward to the day that we get a chance to like just rap about it though. So
yeah.
It's cool now. Everything's cool, but it was just like everything else is a process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got you. So
Yeah.
you here at St. James Live tonight, bro. Had a great show, great crowd, a lot of energy in the room.
Man,
what you think about this place, man?
I love this place. It feels like home.
Yeah.
You know, I was actually in town doing a show with Brian Culverson in June of last year, and I had a night off, and I just came here to hang out, like right where we are right now.
Yeah.
And saw an amazing show. Tipped the waitresses out real well, like I was big balling, like yeah, here's a tip. They gave me free drinks, so it was like I got a tip.
Of course.
But it just felt great, man. It just feels great here. From the musicians that you hire to the staff here to the owners, you know, everybody that's involved in the situation, you know, the remake, the remodel, and the lights and sound and everything. It's just all you got to do is just show up and be present.
Yes.
And just be in the moment and just let everything happen. And that's the perfect situation for me to be in. Like, I don't have to bring nothing extra. I don't have to be over the top. I can just come in and be me.
Right.
You know, I know the band's going to be straight.
Yeah.
It's nothing to worry about. You know, so I was just like Eddie Ease all day. Yeah. Just looking forward to it. Walk through the door, sound check. It's like, yeah, it's going to be a special night. Yeah. And that's how I felt,
For
man.
sure, bro.
You know?
That's what's up, man. Well, last question for you, man.
Yeah.
If you could give yourself any advice, your younger self, what would it be?
A lot. One, stop thinking so doggone much. Get out of your head. Trust your talent. Be more disciplined. Definitely be more disciplined.
What's your discipline? What do you mean? Like for viewers, for younger musicians that's watching this, what's your discipline? How do you be more disciplined?
Especially for a young musician, this is a thing that I've known. Now I'm gonna look right there, that I know. That time when you're young and you're figuring things out, you're never gonna get that time again. That is a time, that's a moment in time when you don't have no responsibilities, no kids, no bills, nothing. All you have to do is just get better at your craft, practice. Because those foundations, that foundation and those skills that you learned then, you're gonna be able to use them when you don't have time to practice. Like when it's sound checks and flights and you're playing for this person and that person, and you're not necessarily listening to music for pleasure or for chops and learning stuff. You're listening to music to do a show. And you got to learn it for that show. And then you got to drop that and learn some more music for another show. So that set of skills and discipline to just be regimented, practiced, ready for anything, you know, that's the skill set that you need. A lot of times I was lucky because I was able to get that on a bandstand more so than in a practice room. But if I had a chance to go back, I would definitely be more of I'm not saying I'll be like John Coltrane and practice 16 hours a day, but 3 or 4 hours a day every day. You know, that's the kind of
consistency of it.
Yeah. You know, and just, I mean, above all else, be fearless.
Yes.
Because nothing fails but a try. It only hurts for a little bit. And you just pick your ego up off the floor. And if there's people that rock with you and that believe in you, they're going to put you in situations to win no matter what. Correct. You know, so that would be my advice to my younger self, and to any younger musicians that are out there happen to watch this. Just trust it. There's not too many people that can do what we do. Yeah. So we're anointed. We've been tapped by a higher power to do what we do.
Correct.
We minister to people. We minister ourselves, and we just gotta trust that. Trust that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I like that.
For sure.
Yeah, let people know where they can find you at online, bro.
Oh, man. Marqueal Jordan. So, first off, Marqueal. It's not spelled like it's pronounced.
One more time. Give it to him one more time.
Marqueal. Last name is Jordan, Jordan. So it's marquealjordan.com. That is my handle on Instagram. It's also my handle on what am I thinking now? What's that?
TikTok, Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter.
TikTok is marqueal.jordan.
MySpace?
No, not MySpace too. Threads. That's what I was thinking.
Okay.
The new thing, Threads, that I never
Right.
used. Marqueal Jordan as well. YouTube channel, same thing. And you can find me on Spotify, any of the digital
Streaming.
outlets, and all of those things to stream. And if you want to get my CD, you got to go directly to the website. No distribution, no middleman. You come straight to me and you get it. And I will send it to you, autographed, and that's how it is. So that's where you find me. And I appreciate you, bro.
My man.
You are that guy.
Always a pleasure, bro.
My man. Love you, boy.
Love you too, man.